So a little bit about Soaring Revenues before we start the presentation. So I started Soaring Revenues about 10 years ago, and it was after about 15 years working for a very well-known major company across the world. I was working with software engineering and doing a lot of management for a team, a very good team that did very, very well. Till today, this team, they were always doing some very high quality work with what they're doing, the software they were doing, and maintaining the software at a very high level. And till today, that team still talks to me every once in a while saying, you know, what you've taught us really made a difference, and it still makes a difference in how we do our business today. And so one of the things when you get to a point of certain age where people start saying, okay, you're looking old or whatever, actually they don't know what they're talking about, right? Because you have so much experience and so much ability to make a difference and influence people, and you have so much knowledge that it makes a big difference with how you do things. So somebody starting a business in a young age is different than somebody looking at a business at a much older age. Now, there's an issue of the human side of things where the character of the person comes into the picture, and who the person is comes into the picture, but the wisdom that you have from experience is really, really, really very important. And so today I want to describe to you a little bit about how we coach as Soaring Revenues. So one of the things I tried to put together here for us is a little bit of a ditty here. Your business is on steroids when Soaring Revenues provides revenues to rocket, profits in your pocket. All right. And this was something that I was thinking about. Why was I thinking about it this way? First, why did I call the business Soaring Revenues, right? So the word profits, if you start using profits on the internet, it's usually snagged as spam, right? So using the word profits was not a good idea. But revenues is a different story, right? People don't see revenues quite the same as the word profits because all spam has a lot of the word profit in there. So I didn't use that word. And why did I use Soaring Revenues? Soaring, of course, is very clear what it means, right? And I was always thinking of an eagle soaring off a mountain, just riding the air current and so on. It made sense with that business quite a bit that way. But I used the word Soaring Revenues. I tried to make the business name relevant because my name, until you know me, what was his name again? But it's not John, it's not Jack, it's not something like that. So let's focus on the name, and that's what I do, is try to focus on the name of the business, not on me personally, because it's not about me. It's about your business. It's about the person's business that we work with. And usually, the first thing they tell me is, I need more clients. I need more money. I need more money, right? And they forget completely, it's not about the money that they're getting from the clients. It's also about the money that they keep in that pocket. And they forget about that. That's why profits in your pocket comes into the picture. So how do I coach? How do I take care of my clients? So the approach is usually when a client comes to me. This happened to me very, very recently. The business park where I'm in had a social, and basically they had a lunch, and everybody was invited, and everybody started going there, and so people start meeting each other and talking to each other and so on. And so one person came up to me and they gave me their business card, say, we are down that suite there, come and visit us, we really, really like to. And you know what? I'm going to give you a 15% discount on the first order you make. I said, 15%? I said, yeah. I said, do you know your net profit margin? Huh? What? What are you talking about? I said, businesses like yours, they'd be lucky if they're making 10% profit margin. So the 15% that you're giving me, you're already losing 5% completely, right? You're paying for me 5%. That doesn't make any sense. So you really need to know your numbers first before you offer me any discounts. I will gladly take the discount once we know what the offer is. But if you want me to coach you, I'm not going to take a discount at all. I'm going to help you actually raise that profit margin. So that's one of the first things that happens is, what is the profit margin that we're talking about? What is the gross and what is the net profit margin. And that in that process, of course, we need to see all the numbers. We need to see what the numbers look like, right? So what are the current financials? So the first thing I ask is, what are the current financials? And almost within an hour of our first discussion, they are already Faraz's client, right? Because I'll just hand them over to Faraz and say, I need the numbers from somebody I can trust that can do the numbers correctly and that understands what I'm talking about. And he and I will be able to put the numbers in the right way for you eventually to understand things. So getting the numbers becomes really, really important. But getting the numbers, usually, it takes a while to even teach them how to read a profit and loss statement. And of course, what I'm trying to do is modify or simplify that statement for them so that it's easy for them to understand where the money is made and where the money is lost. The next step is to actually know where the profit is made. And the profit is not made just in that month financials. It's made month over month over month over month over month over month, and actually shows up in the balance sheet. That's another story. That's much more difficult for people to understand because it's much more long term and it's not as clear for them to see. But we try to get them to the point where they can understand that, and therefore the financials becomes the most important thing. And once we understand the financials, then we can focus on, okay, let's get you more revenue. How do we get them more revenue? It's, first of all, it's marketing, absolutely. And we help them push the idea of marketing and what we start marketing on with that. But the bigger problem is do they know their ideal client? Do they know the best client that they can actually serve? Do they know how to talk to that client? Do they know how to get to that client? And it's not just everybody. It's never everybody. You really have to focus yourself on your client. And, just like when you focus on Medicare, you talk about, if you're 64 and a half, come and talk to me, right?
Intergenerational family.
Right, okay. So you recognize who your market is and focus on your market. It doesn't mean that you're not going to sell to people outside your market. It just means that the more you focus on that, that's the best customer you can give the message to. That's the one that's going to come to you. So getting that more revenue really means understanding who the customer is. Once you get who the customer is, we can focus the message, hand it over to Kim, and all the marketing can just start flying like crazy and start making difference for them. After that, we talk about processes. What processes are going on? Who's actually collecting the information to go to the bookkeeping? Who is taking care of the marketing? Who is taking care of the day-to-day operations? Are you, the owner, spending too much time on the operations until you can't do anything else? Who can we hire? Who can we work with? And so on. So then the processes really start coming into the picture, and the more clarity we have on processes, the more simplified you make the process, the more you document the process, of course. What happens is you don't need to be there all the time. Everything starts moving more like clockwork. Then we focus on the owner. What do we need to do with the owner? What does the owner need to do? What is the eventual exit for the owner? Is it that the business operates completely independently of the owner and the owner is just pulling the money in and actually putting money in their pocket, getting profit from the business, and they maybe open other businesses, or maybe they're doing whatever they want to do with their family, whatever it is, right? Or is it that they want to sell the business? Or is it they're trying to get the business ready for their son or daughter to take over and pass it down and let the business continue that way? Whatever the business is. Sometimes the business is a legacy that's in the family, or it's very important for them to keep it. It has a meaning for them. So we don't know what it is, so we need to focus on what the owner eventually wants to do. I'm going to show you now a couple of pieces of tools that I use. One of them is a profit acceleration software. I think I showed you this before. The simulator. This is the simulator, and if you take my business cards here, you'll see that this QR code that you can scan, that will bring you up to this simulator, and anybody can go on the simulator here. And basically, what we do with the simulator is you go on here, and you put in your numbers, right? Right, with a gross profit margin maybe of 60%, and net profit margin of 15 or 10 in US dollars. So this is what the business is, let's say. It's just very simple numbers here, right? And these numbers the client can kind of put together. If they don't know what their profit margin is, they can click on here, and it will give them, for your kind of business, this is typically what the margins are, if you're not sure what they are, right? But then you get some numbers like this, and you say, okay, I need to make an impact. What do I do? So let me pop the impact into, let's say, 2.6%. And basically what's doing is 2.6% in, it's raising 2.6% in 12 different areas, right? Looking at cutting costs, looking at market dominating position. Here, the market dominating position, I need to know who my market is very, very well, so I can become dominant in that market, right? So I need to know my client. Who is my client? And that's a little bit of research we do. What compelling offer we can put together, how we can increase prices. Typically, I start off with cut costs and increase prices. Immediately, I make a big difference within the first 2 or 3 months. I make a huge difference for the client, right? Then what can we bundle? Can we downsell? Can we do a drip campaign? Can we do alliances and joint ventures? This we do one off. So these are 12 different strategies we can play with. Look at the difference here. The business was making a profit of $1 million. Now it makes a profit of $3 million. This is 2.6 increase only in each one of these. Very simple. Revenue goes up. The revenue goes up, but look how much more the profit is. And that's really what counts, right? So we play with this, and we do something with that. And that gives them a report at the end. I'm not going to show you the report, but you're welcome to click on the. So basically, what happens is in each of the along with the simulator comes the pieces of work in the back end. And basically, for me, when I look at the market dominating position, there's about 5 or 6 different items I can go through, explain what that looks like, explain how to test it, go out, find it, and so on. So all this work takes time. It's not a 5-minute job, do it, it's done like this. It takes time to do the research and push it out and so on. And the whole idea is that we do that and spend some time on it, and the business starts growing slowly over time. Now, when I do this with the client, this is usually an engagement of about a year to make a significant difference. And if I show them a difference in a year, they should be able to give me a couple of years and so on, right? The problem is it's really the business owner that has to do the work. I cannot do all the work for them. I can guide them, I can help them with some of the work, I can show them how to do some of the work. I can't do all the work for them. They have to do the work. And that's the whole idea, is to empower that business owner to do better. And that's the fun part that I like, is I see that business owner actually grow and benefit. And believe me, I see that because they start telling me, oh, I have more time to spend with my kids. My wife likes what we're buying now. We're getting something much better. A lot of things all of a sudden start coming into the picture that are much, much better for the client than it was before. And this warms my heart, and it makes me feel really, really good, because that's really what it's about. It's about the person and the family. So that's what Soaring Revenues does, and I love doing it. I really enjoy doing it. So if you know anybody who needs some help in business, please refer them to me. Thank you very much.